All right, welcome in. First episode. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, what have you, whenever you're tuning into this. This is Short Shifts Podcast, the North American Hockey League NAHL official podcast, episode 1. I'm Brandon Hofstra, joined here with Vinnie Perricelli. And we're joined here by one of the newest members, too, of the NAHL, Christian Larson. He's going to be helping out with some producing and some technical stuff on the back end here as we all kind of go through this and learn how to produce a podcast. But Christian, say what's up to everybody.
Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Excited to get going.
Exactly. So I guess a little bit about myself. Obviously, came in last year, NA, do a lot of the digital media stuff, graphic design, interviews, stuff like that around the league. Vinny, you're no stranger. Obviously, everybody has seen you on TV or social media, what have you, but give everybody a little background on yourself.
Oh, man, this is year 6.
Woo!
I'm a seasoned vet here at the NAHL. Been around the block quite a bit. Been through a lot of stuff. Went through a COVID season, one where we didn't have a champion, one where we crammed a whole bunch of games into like the tiniest bit of time and played till like June. But new season starting up. Everyone's excited. Let's get it rolling.
Get it rolling, definitely. Excited as well as I'm going on into my second season. Came in around November last year, and before that was in the USHL for about 4 years, we'll call it. But I guess a little bit about what we're doing here is obviously talking about the NAHL. We want to kind of just break down maybe every other week what's been going on in the league, some top scorers, some news that goes on in the league, and obviously events that are coming up. And a big one that's starting next week on the 14th is the NAHL Showcase up in Blaine, Minnesota. So we'll be up there. We'll be recording an episode, maybe run into some alumni up there. But Vinny, obviously we have a real big long list of alumni, whether it be coaches, players, GMs, what have you, that have come through the NAHL and moved on to higher leagues and Stanley Cup champions and stuff like that. So our goal and what we want to do too is kind of get those guys on the podcast, talk to them, hear about their experiences in the league and what they're up to now, and just pretty much nose to the grindstone for those guys making their way all the way up.
Yeah, the North American Hockey League, we always call it the League of Opportunity. You can go really anywhere with it. You got coaches, John Cooper, just to name one, obviously the big name. Of course, he's been the longest tenured coach in the NHL for a couple of years now. We've got, Pat Maroon, Stanley Cup champion, Nico Sturm, Stanley Cup champion. There's a lot of guys that have played in the league that have made their way to the NHL. Obviously, tons of college guys, as that's our main focus, getting guys to college, Division I ranks specifically. And then, we've even got the back end people. We got equipment managers that were in the NAHL that are in the AHL and pro leagues at the next level. We've got broadcasters that are in Major Junior, the American Hockey League, and I believe even the National Hockey League, if I'm getting the Stars guys' background correct as well. So, it's not just players, it's everybody. There's support staff, social media. We had a girl here that worked here and now is working behind the scenes with the Nashville Predators. So, it's everyone. So, League of Opportunity, not only for the players, but for everyone that's involved in this league.
Christian, anything you got to add on that?
I think Vinny said it. It's a league of opportunity from all facets, up and down organizations. It's all about providing opportunities, and whether or not you capitalize on it is up to you. And, take yourself up to the next level. And the North American Hockey League has your back in that.
As we speak about opportunities, let's kind of dive into recapping 2021 season. The phrase that we all heard at the Robertson Cup is probably going to be on the tattoos of somebody. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. If you're going to beat us, you have to kill us. Craig Doremus, head coach of the New Jersey Titans. I got a little bit of a chill when I heard him say that, and then I was typing it out and posted a graphic about that. And then obviously, what was that, about 2 months ago when all the coaches came to town and we asked them about it, and it just took a life of its own. But first time a team in the East has ever won the Robertson Cup. That team, with all the combines and stuff that the league office puts on, it ended up being the team I saw the most out of any team that has played in the league, because we would just end up being in either New Jersey, and then we were out in, where were we, in Northeast Generals Ring in Attleboro. So that was a team I saw the most, and I was like, they have something a little special to them. They're a sandpaper team, but they had some skill guys up front and on the back end, and their goalie, pretty good player in between the pipes. But obviously a big kudos to those guys. And that was being my first Robertson Cup. That was a really cool event. It was really cool seeing that team with their back against the wall like multiple times, overtime games and stuff like that, to come out as champs. So yeah, let's just kind of recap like the Robbie Cup and coming into this year. And Vinny, your thoughts, I guess, on New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, well, the guy had a little history of New Jersey too. Is New Jersey back in 1920, the year that the season got cut off, they were either at the top of the league standings or very close to it. And that was the year, if you kind of follow their history, they got, they made it to the first round, got knocked out. They made it to the division final, got knocked out. So it was kind of like they had a lot of players, older players, they were ready to go. And 2020 was kind of like the culmination of all those years of hard work. And then the playoffs got canceled, obviously, with everything else in the world. So I know we talked to Craig Dramus a lot that week. We've talked a lot since, and a lot of those guys were playing for that 1920 team because that team never got a chance to get the job done. And like you said, Brandon, we saw them in New Jersey or in Northeast playing the Generals in that first round playoff series. We saw it go 5 games. We saw them score with, I believe Brian Erickson's words were 0.0000001 seconds left. So, I mean, you had that buzzer beater finale to get out of round 1. You had, I believe it was a triple overtime game in round 2 against Jamestown, now Philadelphia. We'll get into that later. Then the Robertson Cup itself, the East has this reputation that it's kind of more fast-paced, up and down kind of game, where obviously the South is the dirty South for a reason. They play more of a physical kind of game, and the Central is similar to them as well. So like there's this bias sometimes of the Central and South that they're quote unquote better, which, that's why we play the games. We find out who's better each year. New Jersey, though, had that tenacity, like you mentioned, that sandpaper, and they really, really, they had to deal with adversity at Robertson Cup. I mean, that crowd was so pro New Mexico. It was unbelievable. That was a packed house. And I would say 90% of those people were going for New Mexico, obviously with the Minnesota players that New Mexico has and, the fan base that they were able to bring up from Albuquerque. But they went through a lot. They won 2 overtime games against New Mexico just to keep their season alive. And I just think they roll with that momentum through the championship game in Anchorage. They had a great run as well. We'll talk about them a little bit here as we go. But, I mean, I think New Jersey may have been, as with all the things I just pointed out, the team of destiny. And that's why they got it done in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about resiliency. You think about the .0001 second goal and the triple overtime against Jamestown, and then, being down an elimination game against New Mexico and that crazy crowd to come back and I believe it's 2 overtime wins to take them to the final. It speaks to Dramus, speaks to the players, and it brings it back to that quote. If you can't kill us, you won't beat us.
Something to live by, right? Let's kind of, obviously a lot has happened throughout the summer here. Few new teams, some movement of some teams. Wisconsin Wendigo, Oklahoma now up, or I guess I should say Wichita Falls now moving up to Oklahoma, then Philadelphia moving from Jamestown out to Philadelphia. Pretty cool to see a new team, I guess, pop up, or I guess a few new teams. Vinny, your thoughts and expectations, I guess, kind of from some of those teams. You've seen it before, being around the league for so long.
Yeah, it's always exciting to see new markets in the area, especially, Oklahoma Warriors going to be playing Oklahoma City. They've had, obviously, junior hockey there in the past, so it's nice to kind of keep that tradition going there. And I know from previous leagues, Oklahoma City and El Paso have a nice little rivalry. Probably now they get to renew that at the NA level with the Oklahoma Warriors and the El Paso Rhinos, so that'll be fun. The Philly Rebels, we've had Philly before. They're back in Philly. I think new ownership will be a good little thing for them. Justin Hale is a good coach. He's been in the league before. He knows what he's doing. He's putting that grind, that effort in as an assistant to recruit those players. So that should be a good fit there. And then I think the most intriguing I'll use is the Wisconsin Wendigo, because Eagle River, Wisconsin, I don't know much about it. I know it's very small, and I know it's a kind of a vacation town for some people. They go up there and they hunt, fish, and do whatever. So I'm interested to see how, and it's a kind of, compared to Richfield, Minnesota, where the Magicians play, it's definitely a smaller community. So I'm excited to see how that town supports that team. And, how many times have we seen, the Friday night lights of some local high school in some small town USA, right? And how that's all they care about. can the Wendigo develop that relationship with the community and just become the team in Eagle River? And it's like the thing to do every Friday and Saturday. We'll see. It should be a good time to see how that all transforms.
Obviously, that logo you're going to see all over the place. I think that's one of the coolest logos in the league.
I do love the color scheme. The color scheme is really good. I know that the teal light blue thing is kind of big with Seattle coming in, but it's different enough to where it's not another like Kraken vibe. So that's good. Nothing against black and red, but I mean, red's just, I feel like every team has red.
Right.
I mean, especially as we'll see, and we'll talk about in the showcase, at least for me, I mean, the hockey's going to be good. We know that. We know there's going to be scouts. We know there's going to be all that stuff. For me, it's all about the jersey matchups. Let's be real. Like, I want to see, like, we make a lot of stuff for all the, we work behind the scenes. We make a lot of stuff. I'm excited for, Minnesota Wilderness green versus Austin Bruins yellow. I'm excited for the orange of El Paso versus, the baby blue of the Maine Nordiques. I don't know if that's even a matchup, but yeah, just the different color combos, the uniforms, like, because everyone's usually got new uniforms every year. So it's always fun to see who comes up with what. And the Wendigo probably are the top team of what I'm, dying to see what they look like on the ice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm also dying to see what their mascot might look like. It might give me nightmares. I don't know. It's scary. What is it? A deer?
It's a
nightmare
demon
creature?
Deer thing. I mean, we had Blake on. He explained it a little bit, but maybe they just have like a puck or like just to start, just do something.
Just Bambi.
Light.
Just leave it. Yeah. Just
Bambi.
real simple. And then shows up one day and it's a demon deer. Anyways, we'll move on from that a little bit. Let's talk about what's coming up here next week. And gosh, honestly, I think summer flew by. I don't know if anybody else is in the same boat with that. And some big games coming up at the showcase. Robbie Cup rematches. We got New Jersey and New Mexico. Let's just start with that one. I'm going to let you take the reins on this one, Vinny, and kind of just go with it, what you think. And obviously recap last year with those two going at it.
Well, I mean, there was hatred. There's a lot of bad blood between those two teams. We know obviously there's going to be some returners, obviously not all, so it won't be maybe as intense. And of course, there's nothing like playoff hockey. Let's just call it what it is. There's nothing like it. So the intensity may not be as high, but I mean, it's day 3 at 4:30 Central Time. That game's going to take place. You're going to be 2 games in. 3-3 is a lot in the body, especially early in the season when you're not so much not conditioned, but I mean, you're just you're not fully engulfed in the culture just yet. You're not, in that just routine every day. And of course, there's going to be guys in and out of the lineup. The coaches got to see what they got. I mean, these teams come here with big rosters. They got to trim them down to the requirement at October 1st. So, I mean, it'll be a fun one, though, for sure. I'm interested to see whether New Mexico goes with the Baby Blues. I know they broke those out for playoffs.
Back to the jerseys.
And then brought it back for the championship game, game 3, and it didn't work out for them. But I'm interested to see how they do with their jersey combo. New Jersey, we saw last night at the time of this recording, football, Rams got blown out by the Bills. Is there that championship hangover a little bit
for
New Jersey? I mean, New Jersey wanted that, they wanted it. They wanted it more than anyone else. They got it done. Will that same desire and want and hate be there? Like it's the tough transition to go from hunter to hunted. Yeah. And we'll see if they can, take advantage of that opening. They got something over Mexico. They got that bragging rights for now. Let's see if they can continue that mindset going into that game on Friday.
We'll kind of see too how many guys are returning and see if they have a chip on their shoulder from last year, either side of the ice. I recall some pretty vivid celebrations going on by either or team, and we'll see if some of those guys kind of remember that and have a little bit extra to play in. Like you said, day 3. Later on that night, Anchorage, St. Cloud, another really good series that was at the Robbie Cup. I think it's anybody's game, really. I guess obviously the news came out yesterday that the head coach over there in Anchorage has moved on to play coach collegiate hockey. Playing, I guess, yeah, is Mike, is he going back to play? Heading back out there, assistant coach job at St. Lawrence. So first off, congratulations to him, and pretty much a storybook Cinderella season for those guys. And we talked to him, we talked to GM, hockey operations, what have you, up there as well, kind of their thoughts on last year coming into this year. And I think they're ready, but they set the bar pretty high. And that's a pretty high bar to reach again, making it as far as they did. But I think that's going to be a good game. And obviously, Corey Millen and his squad weren't happy with how things ended last year for them up in Blaine, Minnesota. So he's the type of coach I think that's going to pull together a good team and be ready for that showcase.
Well, we talked to Corey about a month ago, and you could tell that bad taste was still in his mouth, right? Like, you're the number one overall seed at the tournament, and your top two or three in the league, and you get swept. And let's call it what it was. They controlled game one. They outshot them like 49-21, I believe it was. They lost 2-1 in overtime. I mean, they had a real chance to win that game. They didn't take advantage of it. Game two, Anchorage kind of took it to them. Once Anchorage got a lead, St. Cloud kind of got on their heels, and it was what it was. But I think St. Cloud, they've got to have that. They got that bad taste in their mouth, and I think there's gonna be motivation there. However, on the flip side, we know Anchorage, there's a lot of guys coming back from last year.
Yeah,
and like you said, the expectations are sky high, and I believe they said 15 returners to start. 15 guys that played, significant time for that team that are coming back to start the season. So, I mean, it's going to be, I think the key, honestly, is going to be in net. We saw Rathan Robbins, who was really, really good. He committed to Nebraska Omaha. He's off to college. Shane Soderwall takes over as the number one. He was the backup last year, played in like 20 odd games, had decent numbers, but he's a veteran guy. He's an 0-2. So it's his last year of juniors. He played 2 years in NA3. Guy's been, and he was a winner. He got to the championship of the Fraser Cup, lost that one as well. So the guy knows how to play. I think he is going to be the key. If he could take that next step and become, the main guy on a North American Hockey League club, I think they could be set up very well for success. I don't think it all, lays on him because, like I said, they got 15 returners. They got a lot of forward depth back. The D-core, I think everyone's back with maybe one guy. So they're going to be solid top to bottom. I think he, though, is the key that is going to get them back to the Robertson Cup and maybe win it all.
USA NTDP, I believe it is the 17s, are going to be showing up as well for 2 games out there. They'll take on Johnstown Tomahawks on day 3, and I believe both of them are the final games of the night on each day, and then they'll play against the Maine Nordiques. But obviously, the 17s are a young squad, but they don't play for the development program for no reason. So it's going to be boys against men, but on the ice, it's completely different. It's going to be a fast-paced game on both sides. We saw the 17s come out to the top prospects game last year. They played a few games. They took on, what was it? The NA top prospects, selects team. Yep. And that was a pretty crazy game as well, but it's good for a different, I guess what I should say is it's good for both leagues to see different opponents. Obviously this will be one of the only times that an NA team will take on a USHL team, and it's the USHL's prize possession team of NTDP. But I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good for all those guys out there to get a little taste against each other and kind of see the differences.
You're 17 years old. I don't care how good you might be. You're playing against 19, 20-year-olds that, they're bigger, stronger, maybe faster. They might be real. The 17 team, I'm sure, has plenty of speed, so that's not a big thing. But you're playing against older guys. It's better competition for you. You're not playing against just, the USHL is a younger league. It is what it is. You're not playing against 18-year-olds all the time. You're playing against 20-year-olds, and guys are gonna be 21 soon and going off to college. So it's a good thing for them. And then for our guys in the NA, like Johnstown and Maine will face this weekend, it's good to face elite competition.
Right.
Like this is gonna be probably the 2 best teams or the best team, I should say, you're gonna play all year long.
Right.
In terms of top to bottom talent, just straight talent.
Yeah.
And especially this early in the season, I mean, those US guys don't have that chemistry yet.
Right.
They'll get there. And we saw at the top prospects, they were crisp. Every pass was tape to tape. Everything was, all flying on all cylinders. At this point of the year, it's still very early.
Right.
So, there's going to be mistakes made, and whoever can capitalize them are going to win the games. And then, of course, at least most NHL scouts going to be there.
Exactly.
And look, I mean, it's an opportunity, whether, for Johnstown or Maine, you have a good game against that team, you put yourself on the radar for NHL teams and NCAA teams. So, I mean, it's an opportunity. I mean, you don't want to just overhype it because, it's hockey. You play a game, nothing changes. The game itself changes. You're going to, face off. You're going to try to work systems. You can do all your normal things, but you could have a good game against that team. All of a sudden you're on the map.
Right.
And that's the whole point of the showcase, is to get guys on the map and get those college scouts, attention.
Yeah.
But you can have a good game there. Look out.
You're going to have some NA guys that are hungry for college commitments. I'm going to take a shot and say a good amount of these 17s on NTDP have college commitments and already eyeballs on them by NHL scouts. But it's a big stage for some young guys. Obviously, a lot of these NA guys who've been around for a while, this isn't their first rodeo being out in front of all these scouts and stuff like that. So that could take maybe a factor into this game for both sides. I mean, it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good showcase, and stinks that old Vinny's not gonna be out there with us. So
yeah, personal things are gonna keep me home for the first time in I guess only 2 years, but I'll be watching from home. I'll have the quad box on, all 4 ranks on the screen. I'll be a lot of hockey watching.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Let's jump right in now. Obviously, another big thing over the summer as we're continuing to recap the summer. 5 players picked in the NHL 2022 draft with North American Hockey League ties. Barrett Hall, Zam Plant, Hunter McDonald, Jared Wright, and Ben Strinden. So Barrett Hall, start with him. He was a 6th round, 164 overall to Seattle. Hunter McDonald, who I spent a year with in Omaha, great kid, and he's going to be a Philly Flyer. He was a 6th round as well, out to Philadelphia, 165. Jared Wright, 2022 6th round, 169, picked up by LA. Zam Plant, Pittsburgh Penguin, 5th round pick, 150 overall. And then Ben Strinden picked up round 7, 210 overall by the Nashville Predators. Pretty cool though, seeing guys from our league at one point in time going from the 5th round down to the 7th round, which is pretty cool to see 5 of those guys moving on. And all of them were at camps. We got some cool pictures of a lot of those guys rocking the uniforms of the teams that drafted them. So it's pretty cool to see that stuff.
Yeah. And every year there's, you just never know, because we get the rankings every year and there's, 4 or 5 guys, skaters. There's typically 4 to 5 goalies that are on that list. And it's funny because we try to look at who's going to get picked and try to have stuff ready for them and all that. And then we go through the list and then none of those guys got drafted. All these other guys got drafted. Like, wait a minute.
We had that whole list and that graphic made and all that stuff ready for, there was a few goalies, a defenseman, blah, blah, blah. Not a single one.
No, but then these guys go. So it's like,
exactly.
Cool. But I think, so Barrett Hall played the most in the NA last year, played about 20 games, 5 goals, 15 assists in the regular season, also had 5 points in the playoffs. He's on his way to St. Cloud at some point as well. That's pretty good, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see, you had the 2 Minnesota Wilderness guys, obviously, playing in Minnesota, you're just seeing in general. But you had our guy, Hunter McDonald, who was in Corpus Christi of all places. Like you said, he went to Omaha, so maybe not so much hockey hotbeds. Then you had the 2 former Minot guys in Jared Wright and Ben Strinden. So, it's all over. It's not just centralized into 1 or 2 spots. It's nice to see guys that, but I mean, who goes to Corpus Christi and goes, I'm going to go get recruited to go play hockey? I mean, I know that's a mindset. I know it's better now than it was, but still, you get, especially you grow up in the Northeast, you grow up in Minnesota, you're going to go to Corpus Christi and then get drafted out of playing hockey in Texas. Like what?
Right.
It's like I said, better than it was, but it's still this mindset of like, wow, like, all right, it's unusual, but it's good to see all our guys from all over the place getting spots in the NHL. And, obviously late round picks, got to do a lot of work still, got to go to college, of course, earn your time, maybe the AHL, but hey, make it happen. You got drafted, you got an opportunity.
Yep. For all those guys that didn't get drafted, the ones that we had on our boards that didn't make it to the final board, you think of a guy like Nico Sturm coming from Austin Bruins, I believe, in the 15-16 season. He didn't go drafted, and he just lifted the hardware this past spring.
Mm-hmm.
And for the guys that got drafted, it's another opportunity, and you got to capitalize. And it's not the end for those who didn't get drafted. And it's the same thing for college commitments. It's just about believing in yourself and keeping on that grind. So
another example too of that is Blake Lizotte, played in Minot, went undrafted, went to St. Cloud State, and then signed after playing college hockey. So yeah, like you said, Christian, just because you don't get drafted doesn't mean you don't have a chance. You definitely still develop your game at the college ranks, and then you sign a free agent contract, and then guess what? You get to pick where you go. You don't get told where to go, which might be even better.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, welcome back. We're going to do our first ever interview. You look nervous. First ever interview on the first ever episode with the second ever named Kim Cannon Internship, which we're going to give you a little background on that. Kim Cannon Internship was established back on June 2nd, 2021 by the NAHL in cooperation with the Tampa Bay Lightning's head coach and former NAHL head coach John Cooper. It is intended for recent college graduates interested in pursuing a career in sports. Tyler Giwerowski, congratulations. Obviously, welcome to our podcast. You've been around now, the league office for what is it, 2 months?
2 months, yep, since June 13th.
First off, we just want to say congratulations. Obviously, we met you back out at the Robertson Cup where you had your interview, got to hang out with us. We loved everything that you brought to the table. Obviously, Mark did. So the big accomplishment, but talk about like the feeling you had when you got that call from Mark Frankenfeld about getting this position.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a dream of mine to work in hockey, and it's definitely a great start. Especially can't thank Mark enough for everything he's done for me, along with John Cooper, who made this internship happen.
Well, I would say that he's got some big shoes to fill. Our first intern, Hunter McCaffrey, was how do I word this? She took control of the situation, got stuff done. I almost swore, almost had the first bleep here in the podcast, but she got stuff done. So Tyler's definitely got some big shoes to fill. But I know, 2 months in, 3 months in, he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, big shout out to Hunter as well. Obviously, that was huge too for her, the first ever Kim Cannon intern. And we can't thank her enough for everything that she did for helping us out on the road here in the office and stuff like that. So Hunter, shout out to you. Tyler, I believe you told me that you applied for this last year too. Am I correct when you told me that? But then you realized that you had to be a postgraduate.
Correct. Yeah. So I've been eyeing this up ever since it was launched on Twitter since 2020 when it was first launched, and then kept up with it ever since, and then applied right when it launched again for 2022. Let's
talk about your background, Tyler. College hockey player, just scored a lot of goals. He's out there just wheeling and dealing. Talk about college. Obviously, you went to Rider out east. You're from out east. Just give us a little background on yourself.
Oh yeah. So I played Rider.
And your work history, because that's a big deal too. Sorry.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I started at Rider University, ACHA Division II club ice hockey. Started there in 2018, fall of 2018. Definitely a program that's growing. When I started there, they only made to regionals once, and then after that, we kind of took off. Every year, we got better and better. This past year, had an unreal season. Unfortunately, lost to Ohio State. Big comeback by them. They ended up going nationals, but it's big accomplishment for Rider, especially where they came from. And then during my years at Rider, I was fortunate to get a internship with the New York Rangers. So I did that for about a year. And then I got another one with them doing fan development. So basically did all teaching kids how to play hockey throughout the community, spreading the word of hockey, just growing the game of hockey throughout the Eastern region with them. And then also worked with the Metropolitan Riveters in the NWHL, where I did hockey operations for them. That's definitely a growing league now, professional women's hockey league. Yeah, it's been a ride past 4 years with the sport of hockey. Yeah, definitely.
Tyler, I would say I only knew about Rider University because it's in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, and I'm also from that. I'm from out east, so I know where Rider is. But like, why Rider? And then like, what? I mean, because you're a Flyers fan, so how do you go work for another team that's not the Flyers?
Yeah, so head coach of Rider University ice hockey team, Sean Levin, came and recruited me back in my junior year of high school. So he actually found out I was not a senior at the time, so we kept in touch. Never knew about Rider until that time when he came to recruit me. And then I was thinking about Rider for a while, went on my tour, me and my dad. Definitely one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Made a lot of friends that I'll talk to for the rest of my life. A lot of friendships, especially older classmen, upperclassmen. I'll definitely talk to. But yeah, for the Rangers, Definitely one of my roommates, my sophomore year, he worked with them for a couple of years. He heard that I wanted to work in hockey and basically what my goals in life of working hockey was. And he recommended me to the Rangers. I applied, went through a couple of interviews, and ended up going with the Rangers. Even though even though I'm a diehard Flyers fan, I loved every second work for the Rangers. It was definitely helped me big time with building my hockey resume.
Well, I could tell you from personal experience as a absolute diehard Sabres fan that
life's been tough.
First, yes, the life has been
Okay.
tough. 11 years, no playoffs. Let's be real. Playoffs this year is questionable, but I'm back on the bandwagon. Let's call it that. But our old office here at the NAHL used to be in the Dallas Stars office. So we shared a space. And every time I had to go to the bathroom, I would have to walk past a picture of Mike Modano holding the Stanley Cup when they beat Buffalo back in '99. So at least you have to deal with that, Tyler. I mean, that's true. I don't hate the Stars, but I don't like them as a whole. I mean, they broke my heart as a kid, so that's just going to be with me forever. But I could definitely see where, working for a rival of your favorite team could be not a challenge, because you're going to be like, hey, I want to work in hockey, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. But I guess tell us a little bit more about like what you did with the Rangers, like what's growing the game of hockey like in New York? Because I mean, I'm not saying New York City is like the best place in the world for hockey, but I mean, there's so many people you could reach, so many different communities you can go out to and expose the game of hockey to. What was that like going out in the Big Apple?
Oh yeah, so the Rangers, they formed a thing called the Junior Rangers that has been launched for a little bit, and they're just expanding a lot now. So now they formed basically a 75-mile radius of Madison Square Garden, which goes all the way up from Connecticut down to the South Jersey by Princeton. So they came up with 3 different programs that they run, which is the Learn to Play, so which is ages 5 to 11. So with basically they get a $200 sign-up fee, and they get free head-to-toe equipment with Pure Hockey, which is basically introducing, obviously, hockey's a very expensive sport. So when parents see $200 for full head-to-toe equipment, there you go right there. It gets them to sign up. And then a lot of the times we would do try hockey for free, which was another thing. Kids would show up for free, and they would get head-to-toe equipment, get an hour on the ice, and see if they like it, which would get them into Learn to Play. And then as they're getting up the ranks and almost ready for travel hockey, they go on to a rookie league, which is 1 game a week, 1 practice a week. So it gets them more, learn the fundamentals of the game. And then at the New York Rangers games in between periods, they do the Mites on Ice. So the Junior Rangers go on. So a lot of fans see, hey, these kids started in the Junior Rangers, and now they're playing at Madison Square Garden, one of the most famous arenas. See that, which is pretty cool, and gets a lot of people to sign up, gets their name out there. The marketing's definitely growing with them a lot in the past years I've been there. Yeah.
You mentioned that facility, Madison Square Garden, obviously, like you said, a world-renowned place. Your first time ever going in there. I've only been to New York once, and it was for 3 hours maybe. But I've only heard that place is a mecca. Oh, it's huge. Did you get lost your first day? Let's put it that way.
100%. Yeah. So coming from Philly, I'd take the train in. So the train takes you right to Penn Station, which is right underneath Madison Square Garden.
Sandwich place.
Yeah. No.
That's a joke.
So literally I come right upstairs and walk right in, but you got to know what places to go. The rink's not on the first floor, all the way up on, I'm pretty sure, the 6th floor, all the way up there. And yeah, it's pretty confusing. I tell you that, all different ways. Took me probably about 10 times going there to get the hang of it.
We got to point out for anyone listening, because Brandon is from the heartland of the country,
Nebraska, Iowa,
St. Louis, like right in the center of the country,
the heartland. And
the first time you saw the ocean was when we had a flight for work that got directed from Detroit to New York.
That's true.
And
Vinny's sitting there watching me be a tourist.
Now, granted, I'm a New Yorker. I'm not a New Yorker as in New York City, but I did know that Madison Square Garden, like the rinks, like Tyler said, like 5th or 6th floor, and you can get lost in there very easily. But yeah, I just find that fascinating that you're asking the question, just because like you said, you've been in New York for like 3 hours, and like you did probably the most touristy things imaginable, as in go to Times Square, and that's about it. I'm trying to think of Tyler's day, like taking a train, going into the city, and just getting lost in the sea of people. And then you're at Madison Square Garden. You're trying to figure out which office you got to go into or what area you got to be at. And you're just like, oh my God, there's a million people here and I don't know where I'm going.
Like the movie Elf.
Exactly like the movie Elf, actually. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Tyler, obviously you're the second recipient of this, as we have said a few times, which is a pretty great thing to add to your resume. Talk about sort of the things you want to get into and some of the things that you're doing right now here in the league, and maybe what your possible like ultimate goal is in hockey.
My goal right now is to either be a scout or have something to do with player development or hockey operations side. Mm-hmm. So I've been learning a lot from Blake McNichol and Mark a lot. So some projects I've been doing is going over commitments within the league, scrubbing some data of where player locations are that we have in the league, basically of where our league is from.
Right.
And I love that. I mean, going off elite prospects a lot, looking where each kid's from, where they played growing up. It's a grind, obviously. Hockey. Right. You're not with the same team your entire life if you want to go far. So,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been doing a lot of that kind of data, helping out with some hotels as well. But yeah, it's been loved every second of it so far. So yeah.
You growing up, obviously playing in a lot of tournaments and stuff like that. You probably didn't realize how much goes in on the back end for when you show up to these tournaments and play like that. So you got a firsthand look, obviously at the Robertson Cup, of how much work behind the scene goes in. And then our first big event is next week in Blaine, the Showcase, where seeing things from the other side.
Yeah, definitely seeing of how much work and how much preparation, obviously planning what many months ahead. I mean, we've been planning for this showcase since I got here in June, and now we're 1 week away, less than 1 week away from it. So obviously seeing everything that goes in from the media side to the media side to the broadcasting side to all the stuff that we got to get for scouts, all the stuff that we got to get for the teams, the buses, like all that kind of stuff, hotels. So obviously it's a lot that goes into this, with obviously 29 teams plus the National Team Development Program and our NAP showcase that's going on. So yeah, definitely a lot going on. A lot of things behind the scenes that we've been doing.
All right. Well, Tyler, thank you for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to sit down with us for a little bit here. Again, congratulations, and we're happy to have you part of the team, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, and Tyler Giwerowski for the interview, Christian for hanging out, Vinnie, thank you for your time as well. Again, we're going to be doing this probably every other Thursday, recapping what's going on, what's about to come up in the North American Hockey League, maybe drop in a little 3HL and some PHL stuff as well if there's some big news. But episode 1 in the books.
You know, when you first came into this idea, I thought you're crazy because we have all this other stuff to do, but that actually was a lot of fun, and I look forward to future endeavors for sure. This is the first one pre-dad life. After this might be post-dad life or during dad life. I don't know.
Life.
Dad life. Like regular
hashtag dad life.
During.
What's that?
Say during.
During.
Not
during.
Dad life. You're just a dad now. The guy's a dad. Vinnie, obviously we're wishing you, everybody in the office, nothing but the best, and that was your personal info that just now you've released onto everybody who's tuning in.
I mean, the people that know me know, and
right.
So if I'm not on the next podcast, you know why.
We're gonna have a screaming baby in the background.
Oh gosh, don't get me started. I'm trying to enjoy the last few weeks of sleep I got.
Well, we're still trying to make guesses here on what your little girl's name is going to be, but I don't think anybody's gonna crack the code.
I honestly don't think so. I gotta get the pool going though. I do have to get the pool going. I'll get that sent out hopefully by the end of the day.
All right, deal. Well, again, thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been Short Shifts Podcast, the NAHL official podcast, and we will catch you next week or 2 weeks from now.